Hello.
Oh, I can hear you. I miss you. How are
Hi.
you?
I miss you so much. I'm good. How are you?
I've been looking
Are we
forward to this,
matching today?
yeah, always.
Always
Yep,
matching.
always matching.
Um,
I figured we could not plan that and still match.
yep. We tend to do that pretty much all the time.
That's
Um,
amazing.
I'm so glad that we're finally doing this. I feel like it's been in the works for some time now, and I'm glad it all worked out.
Lipo and lipstick, here we are.
I know. It's so exciting.
I feel like we
We have
should
people
tell
joining.
people about like our love story, how we met.
Sure. I feel like, do you want to get started? I'll fill in.
Sure, sure. So, when I met Smita, it was sort of as if like I had known her my whole life. Like when I met her, I was like, I'm pretty sure we've met like in multiple realms of our life. When you meet other female plastic surgeons, there's so much about us that we have in common, like the dedication and the personality that it takes to sort of thrive in this field and get where we are means that we're all so darn similar. And so when I met
Yeah.
you at a WPS meeting, I mean, it's like meeting yourself. It's so wild. And
Yeah.
um, it's just kind of like seamless. Like the women that we've met and the way that you and I met through our women plastic surgery organization, it's like you've known me my whole life.
I know. Well, and I remember the moment so clearly. I think we were in Newport Beach at the
Yes.
retreat. So every year, the Women in Plastic Surgery group has a retreat. And so this year, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago at this point, it was at Newport Beach, and we were on an outing on a boat. And
Yes.
I looked over at you and I was like, oh, she's got the same purse that I had. And then we like started talking and it was like, I think we were talking like the rest of the boat ride. And then I had seen you at, other events along the way and other conferences. And it was like you said, it was like we had known each other all along. We were already matching in like our clothing and everything. So
And then, like, the more that we got to know each other and hang out at those sorts of things, like, the more mutual friends and colleagues and mentors that we have in our past, to have gotten us to the same point. So it's cool.
yeah, it's
It's
really cool.
it's awesome.
I love it. Well, and
So
it's nice too, because we're just like one example. I feel like all along the path, we've met so many women that you also share these same connections with. So I think it's like you said, we're a small group and we've all kind of been through the same thing and we can relate to each other on that level, which is really nice.
so how's it going over there? Because now you have some residents in Jersey, right? The girls there. How has that been?
Yeah. Well, so I have to tell you, I some of you guys might not know this, but I was in academic medicine up in Boston and made the transition to private practice. And one of the main things that I was worried about was losing that resident interaction. That was why I wanted to stay in academic medicine. I love teaching. And that was, and we've had this conversation a lot over the years. I was
Yes,
really worried about
yeah.
that. Yeah. So, Ashley was like with me through the transition and all of my back and forth and wavering and all of that. So, but yeah, I mean, the second I got down here, I'm not actually affiliated with the university that's in New Jersey, but, the residents kind of sought me out and I was their only female that they were working with. And it was really remote interaction. It was one hospital, literally 1 week of call that I took with them. And, all of these like young female surgeons were reaching out to me, texting me, emailing me, wanting to have me come in and give talks. And, they would find me at conferences on the other side of the country. So it's been, it's been really great
It's
to
cool,
have
right?
that.
It's kind of how it
Yeah.
was. It's kind of how it was for me here too. So I have a super similar path to Smita. I started in academics, and then following her guidance, like I remember very vividly a conversation that you and I had at a table at another WPS meeting where you were
Hmm.
like, "That's it. I'm doing it. I'm
Yeah.
going private." And so like I vividly remember that time because when I made the same transition, I mean, you're like one of the first people I called. So,
Yeah.
but you know, the experience with the residents for me has been like totally the same way. So I'm super lucky because now, even though I'm private, I still get residents here 6 months out of the year, which is amazing.
Oh,
I
that's
have a
great.
resident here now. It's super fun. And it's sort of like all of the things that I was so passionate about in academics, I can now do privately, just like you.
Yeah.
But moving here, when I moved here for my academic job, I was the only female plastic surgeon in the greater Rochester area, which is wild.
Wild.
And the
Crazy.
program here is really female heavy, which is cool. And you see that more and more in programs across the country. So when I moved here, there was 9 female residents and no female faculty members, not only at the university, but, you know, in the town. And so I was pregnant and 3 of the girls were pregnant, and it was kind of like they just like swarmed, and they're like, how do we do this? How do we figure out how to, you know, take our maternity leave? How do we breastfeed during a case? And like logistical questions. And so I was like, well, let's just go out to dinner and like bring your kids and whatever, and we can just talk about like life things offline. And it was amazing. And so I continued to do that with them like every season. So we would do it like 4 times a year, and we're overdue right now for one, but COVID is not letting us go out to dinner together just yet. But you should totally do that with the girls there, because, you know, just informally get together, because I mean, I wish we had that when we were like students, you know. It was, I mean, when do you remember having your first female role model or mentor?
I mean, so for me, it was my mom, but she, you know, so she's a pediatrician. So it was very different. You know, she was definitely my role model and me wanting to pursue medicine. But then when it came down to me wanting to do surgery, I had literally nobody that I could talk to that was a female. And so I think that was really my struggle, you know, because I had changed my mind between like July of my 4th year and August. You know, I was OBGYN, 100% wanted to do that.
I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. I had my wave rotations all set up for OBGYN. All of my 3rd year, I was like, I'm going to deliver babies. Like that was the plan. And then July 2nd, probably my 2nd day into maternal fetal medicine, I was like, nope, this is not my jam. Can't do it. And then I like went into crisis mode for the next month, just being like, well, I think I like surgery, but I don't think I can do it as a female. I don't want to, you know, it's like so many years. And, you know, all the few women that I knew were not nice, you know, at all. So I was like, I don't want to become like that. And so, you know, I had so many meetings with my dean, and finally she was like, listen, wait until, you know, next month, see how you like transplant surgery, and you'll know. And I, you know, the first day I was like, oh, I'm in heaven. Like, this is what I want to do. But I had to make that decision, you know, without really any role models. And that was tough. So now I like really make it a point to be visible. And I think that's the thing, because people that you might not have female role models within your institution, but there's so many, I mean, we're out there.
Right, right.
And so with social media, it's such a great venue for us to just be visible. And I'm sure you get messages from people all over the country. And, you know, I've been getting that too. And just, I mean, I even get like messages from people from India being like, hey, I'm a medical student. You're a plastic surgeon. That's so cool. Like, I didn't think that was possible in America. So it's just nice that we have this.
Yeah, I agree. I get tons of DMs, and I try to like engage as many people as I can and answer questions, you know, as they're trying to pick a specialty. It's so cool. Yeah. I don't think I knew any women surgeons, or didn't really have any as mentors when I made that decision, but I don't know why. I didn't even think of it. Like it didn't even, I wasn't even aware that there were no female mentors for me. It was just the world, and I was trudging ahead, and I knew I wanted to be a part of that world. But all my mentors when I was a student were all men, because it was all men. And then, but then for me, that's the difference between our training, when I went to a super female heavy training program. And it was then when I was like, oh my God, this is so different. Even women's approaches to surgery are different in the way that we prioritize things to balance. You know, it was just so cool to have female faculty who were amazing mentors to me during my training. And I also had a really female heavy program, which is a little bit different than your experience. What was it like for you being one of the guys?
I mean, I gotta say, I loved it. And similar to how you were feeling in medical school, where you didn't even realize like that was something missing. That's kind of how my residency was, you know. So I did general surgery first. I didn't realize, I kind of made a career move halfway through general surgery, realizing that that's not what I wanted to do. In general surgery, there were actually a good number of women. Like my closest friends were my two co-residents. And the class below us, I think, had 80% women. So it wasn't until plastic surgery where really there were no female attendings. There were maybe like one or two female that were senior to me, senior residents, but they'd already graduated by the time I started. And then, of course, there were junior residents that were women. But I didn't realize that I needed it. You know, like I was lucky in the fact that I had attendings that were so supportive. My co-residents that were all men are like my brothers, you know, to this day.
Cool. I like hanging out with them with you. Yeah.
I know, they're amazing. And so like our residency program was intense. And so we all just like had each other's backs. It didn't matter. Like I always felt supported. I never felt like anything less, you know, they were just so amazing. And that was like at all levels. But it was nice though, because there were junior residents that were, you know, women.
Yeah.
And so they all kind of gravitated to me. So, you know, we used to have our monthly, it probably wasn't month, but every few months we'd have a dinner together of just like us girls.
Yeah.
There was like 4 or 5 of us, but, you know, I was kind of, you know, I took on that mentorship, like that mentor role early on. But it was something that I didn't think that I needed, you know, I felt like I was doing it for them, but looking back, I definitely needed that, you know, I just didn't realize it at the time.
So how did you kind of find female mentors and colleagues if you didn't have them at your program? Like, did you use meetings as a way to like reach out to people and to network?
Yeah, well, I mean, so my experience, I think, is very, you know, different than yours. The first time I actually had a female plastic surgeon mentor that was more senior to me was through WPS, Women Plastic Surgeons. Because even at regular meetings that I would go to, I would just hang out with my people that were all guys. Yeah. You know, I made no attempt to like network with women. It just wasn't like on my radar. And then I started going to these WPS meetings and I was like, oh, wow, like all of these things that I'm experiencing at work, which my first job was the first time where it was visible and noticeable that I was treated differently because I was a female, you know, and I never experienced that as a resident. So it was nice talking to everyone and being like, okay, I'm not the only person. Like, you know, these women have shared experiences also. And then, like you said, the WPS and meeting those women, that was really the turning point for me in making my career move to private practice, you know, like seeing these other women doing it. They all have families, you know, they all have lives, are able to balance it the best way that they can. And that was really nice to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a trend. I mean, you and I are not the only ones. We have so many friends who are sort of similar, you know, a handful of years out, you know, under 10 years out in training and are transitioning to private practice, and just finding that as a female, our ability to balance is so much better when you have control. Because I mean, I think that's the hardest thing, is that in academics, you just don't have control over those things. And you can control your own schedule, but also, you know, your patient experience when you're private. So
exactly.
We're not alone.
I mean, you can control everything, right?
Yeah.
Your patient experience, your staff, like you can kind of create it in the vision that you have. But yeah, it's crazy. So many of us kind of in the same time frame have all kind of jumped and made career moves, and whether it's academics, private, or changes within private, and, you know, going solo from a group practice. It's, and it's mostly women.
It is
from what I see, which is interesting.
We had talked about writing about our experience for the plastic surgery newsletter, so we should totally do that.
We should definitely do that.
Yes, and we should reach out to our comrades here who left around the same time and talk about what our experience has been like.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, do you have any words of wisdom or advice for, people that are either medical students or residents that just are kind of lacking that mentorship, and what advice would you give them?
I mean, I I think it's important to create that network, you know, and I think you and I are examples of no matter what stage of your life you are, when you have female mentors, you can continue to find them, you know, whether it's through social media or at meetings and things like that. Like I have so many mentors from afar who I didn't train with,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they're just women I've met at meetings or networked with, or you know, happen to see, and I'm like, oh, I know who she is. She's kind of important. I'm gonna just go up and say hi and introduce myself,
Yeah.
and then a relationship develops. So I think that women are so welcoming like that. Like we're such a good network for each other, and I think we all know that it's a little bit of an uphill battle for us, and so I'm
Mm-hmm.
proud of how much we stick together because I think we have like a camaraderie that our colleagues don't have. And so I think I would tell young women to just rely on that, you know, be gutsy, just go say hi, just send a message, and you'll be so amazed at how much the women around you want to help you and support you and, you know, kind of reach a hand and pull you along to be
Right.
successful. So many people did that
Yeah.
for
No,
us, you
I
know,
completely.
so we're totally there for
Right.
them.
Yeah. People did that for us. And the thing is, even with male mentors, right? Like, I feel like at this point, about depending on your relationship with them, you can still reach out to them and be like, I would like a people, like, who do you know that
Oh,
can help me
totally.
navigate this, right? So even though somebody might not be in your immediate like radar, you can reach out to people. And our
Yeah,
day and age, everyone, we want plastic surgeons to succeed. We want the future of our field to succeed and be diverse. And I think everybody is willing to help. And just like you said,
absolutely.
people helped us. We didn't get here by ourselves, right? We got here
No.
with a lot of support and a lot of, uplifting and all of that. And so I think we're happy to do it. And it's
I think,
probably one of
yeah,
the most rewarding things I think
it's so
of what we
fulfilling to
do.
see like that next generation. And yeah, I think you can't underestimate how important it is to find male mentors who will support you as a woman. And I mean, there's so many times where Newmeister, who was my chair, would introduce me to women at meetings or even send an email and CC and be like, this is someone I want to get you in touch with. And I mean, that's how I met Ann Taylor, was just through
Hmm.
an email with Newmeister. He's like, you need to know this lady. And I need
Yeah,
to kind of hook this up. And so, yeah, I mean, just use every resource around you to kind of to propel
exactly.
you forward.
Well, and it's funny. So similar to you, Dr. Rourke was that for me. So he was the one who actually even
Yeah.
introduced me to WPS because I was a resident. I had no idea that committee even existed. And a couple of years into practicing, he sends me an email with Heather Furness CC'd on it. And he's like, you need to meet this woman, join WPS, like go. And that was it. I mean, that was my introduction to WPS. I had met Heather that way. Jeff
It's
Janet's
so
actually
cool.
introduced me to Anu Bajaj, who also was, really
Yes.
her words of wisdom and getting me into private practice was, key. We had so many
Same for
shared
me too.
experiences. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
so,
Yes.
just kind of take advantage of every mentor that's there. And as we get older too, we're able to gauge people and choose people that might be similar to us or, that have similar goals and personalities. And so you just kind of gravitate towards each other. I lost you
Sorry,
there.
I flipped you. I was trying to wave at people who are joining and I flipped you. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think you can have different mentors for different things too. You know, like
Hmm.
you are really into research and you're so good at writing, and so you know you probably have different mentors for research than you do for how to run your practice, and you know, or if
Yeah.
you had a question about a case, you know, you have a go-to. So I think it's so important to like build that network and have
Right.
things that are, you know, important to you.
Yeah. And the thing is that I really love about all of this is these are all like mentors that you have for a lifetime.
Yeah.
They're kind of with you through all your different phases. And like you said, you go to them for different things. And then, they turn into friendships too, which is nice. It's not that like mentor mentee and you just kind of keep it at that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that about my residents too. Like, like Elena Chen, for instance, who and now is sort of a part of our group. I mean, she was a resident under me and I trained her, and she'll say things and then kind of throw compliments at me. And she's like, well, you taught me that. You are my mentor. And that's so crazy to me because I just think of her as a colleague, So it's like any one of those relationships is so, reciprocal because she taught me things. All of my residents teach me things. Like, for instance, I was given a webinar a month or so ago, and you froze a little bit, Smith, but I'm going to keep talking. Can you hear me? Oh, there you are. Can you hear me? I don't have sound. Can you hear me? Let's see. I see you, but I don't hear you. Can you hear me? Hey, I can't hear you still. You want to leave and then request to join back in? Let's do this. All right, let's see if we can get Smita back in. So we'll have her request to join again. But yeah, I was doing a webinar a month or so ago, and I talked about something that I had learned from one of my residents, and she said something to me after, Paige Myers, and she's like, oh, Dr. Mulvey, I do that just like you. And I was like, Paige, you totally taught me how to do that. So I learned from them just as much as they learned from me. All right, she's coming back in. I think we should be good. There she is. I hear you.
There I am. Sorry.
Hi, that's okay. I mean, I don't know if it's mine or whatever, but I'm just glad to see you again.
Yeah.
So we definitely should put some feelers out about what our next topics should be, on some Instagram posts to see what people want to hear about. But I think
I mean, we could just talk forever about everything. So if you guys want to direct us a little bit,
yes. So we'll take some polls about what people want to hear about, like procedures or life stuff or whatever. But I think this is going to be super fun. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think also for any of like the students that are out there, surgery programs have changed tremendously from like even when we trained to now. Like maternity leave rules are different now. So it is a lot more like accepting and welcoming of women and how, our differences and what we need out of programs. And so what I hate seeing is people not choosing surgery because they're worried or fearful of this, kind of like where I was when I was a medical student and I did it anyway. But a lot of people also just choose not to do it because of that. So
absolutely.
It's a great field, and we all stick together. So don't be scared.
Yeah. Those changes this year. I mean, even like the residents under me who've had babies, like all of the, graduating women in our program have been having families and feeling very welcome to do so, which is so cool. But the rules are different, they get more time, and there's also just some built-in wiggle room. So if things in life happen or there's, family emergencies or medical issues, whether it's because of a pregnancy or for something else, there's just so much more flexibility now in training. Right. And it's so important because it's like, you don't have to do X amount of weeks to be a great plastic surgeon. You have to work hard, but you also have to take care of yourself and your family. And it's so cool to see that the board is really changing that.
Supporting that. Yeah,
it really
absolutely.
Is. And so many of these trainees coming in are women. And so I think those are real concerns that we definitely need to address, but we're definitely heading in the right direction.
We're going in the right direction. And that's something that we could talk about another week, because I know you have a lot and you've shared so much of your experiences.
Oh, I'd love to talk about that.
So that would be something really great to talk about in the future too.
When we're old, Smita, we're going to be like those old lady plastic surgeons who are like, remember when we trained and you know,
I already do that. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, man, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, things were so different.
It really was, but it's good. Like, I don't like when people say that and then they're like, oh, you need to do it the way I did it. It's not true. I mean, we can always do better. We can always make it more of a welcoming environment, especially for women. And so, you know, we'll keep pushing it forward.
Keep pushing forward. Exactly.
Awesome.
Well, this was so much fun. I'm so
glad
was
that
great.
We
did this. And
I'm going to try to save this, which, you know, I don't really know how to do, but I think we'll try to save this so we can post on Instagram TV, and then Smita and I will talk offline about like a schedule so that we can get these kind of videos to you more frequently and talk about like procedures or life stuff or anything. We could talk about clothes. we could talk about clothes for a really long time. Yeah. And also if there's, you know, if people have different times that might work a little bit better too. We're totally open. Yeah, absolutely. And making this more accessible. So. Yeah. So keep, you know, anyway, give us some feedback. We are, have an awesome afternoon. You have clinic or surgeries? Yeah, clinic. Yeah. Me too. How about you? Clinic? Yeah, same. I'm hijacking a patient room right now with a sign. The sign on the door says, "Quiet, please. Do not disturb Dr. Amalfi." But yeah, we got some. All right. Well, have a good rest of the afternoon. You too. I love seeing you. It was so good seeing you. I can't wait to do it again. I know. Love you. Love you too. Bye, honey. Bye.